Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative Eddy Kool. The Sports Bros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast. We're starting off a little bit differently this week because the HOC, the head of creative, Eddy Kool, is on a mission to pick up his lovely young lady from the airport. So he should be joining the program shortly. And this is obvious now that he cannot do this by himself, because he has not one, but two co-hosts that are taking over the Sports Bros Podcast this week, starting off with yours truly, the almighty B-Live. What's happening? What's going
on in the world today?
As everyone should know, at this moment of time, we record on Monday to publish on Tuesday. And I am recording after getting my heart ripped out of my chest after watching the Braves be up 3-0, then down 6-3, then up 7-6, and then down 8-7 to lose game one of the 2-game doubleheader that determines who makes the postseason in the National League. So, well, hopefully we can figure it out. Mets, take a break. You're already in, so just rest, everybody. I don't mind asking for charity, even though it's the Mets and I don't like them, but it is what it is. I digress. Introducing the other co-host of the Sports Bros Podcast, was the meanest, thuggish, ruggish, soup kitchen lady this side of the Allegheny. Is that what he'd be talking about?
Sure.
Magnum cum Scottie cum laude. That's what it is. Scottie cum laude, the assistant athletic director of the Trinity High School, and some other things. You have the longest introduction ever. The money man, Scottie D.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. We're getting it started without Eddy Kool. We're getting it started, but we are getting it started. Yeah. We are down to the last game of the baseball season, and it is important. Man, that was a seesaw early game between the Mets and the Braves. Mets are in, and as of right now, it's down to whether the Braves win and get in, or if the Mets allow the Diamondbacks to enter the conversation. But nonetheless, baseball, this is what I love about baseball, when these games really ramp up and have a lot of meaning. And didn't go your way, B-Live, but what a crazy game. The Braves went from up 3-0 to down 6-3 to up 7-6. I mean, it was a crazy 40 minutes in that first half of that game on Monday afternoon. And as we're recording, we are not quite into the second game yet. So all hope is not lost at this moment. By the time this comes out on Tuesday, the listener will know what happened. But hopefully, for your sake, the Braves have found their way into this postseason.
Please. Here's one thing. I'm going to say this before we dive into what we normally talk about. For the Braves to be in this position to start with all of the injuries, this has been one of the most tumultuous seasons I've ever encountered as a Braves fan. And I grew up with the Braves in the 90s. It was a given that the Braves won the division, made it to the playoffs, and then either in the World Series or the NLCS, we just didn't get the job done. Except for the one time,
suffered your annual fall collapse, pretty much.
That's what I'm used to. I'm not used to not making the playoffs. And then for us to have lost our MVP from last year, losing our top starting pitcher, and other players to injury from time to time, basically piecing together this team that we have for us to be in this position right now, man. Hats off to the Braves. Again, we got one game that has not yet started yet. I would like to make it because anything can happen in October. We all know that. When we won it in 2021, we were the worst team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just
no
saying.
question about it. No question that it's remarkable that they really got hit with the injury bug. So it's remarkable that they're even in a position. Let's just keep going with baseball. We're already on baseball. Let's just keep flowing here before we even switch gears over to the NFL and college football.
All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order.
We are here now. It is baseball postseason time, and as expected, the Yankees and the Dodgers came through the season as the top dogs, the highest market teams, the highest payrolls, lived up to the billing and got through. There were some bumps in the road for the Yankees. They had a terrible time, I think it was through July, where they lost a ton of games. They just lost a bunch. But they have righted the ship, and they're going to be the top seed in the American League, while the Dodgers are the top seed in the National League. Cleveland, to me, was a surprise because I believe they're the number 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And
Right.
and I didn't see that coming, honestly. I expected that as much as I expected to see a team in 2024 set the record for most losses ever in baseball, and that was in that same division with the White Sox as having an absolutely atrocious, horrendous, despicable year. That should never happen. I think they lost every game, right? Didn't they lose every game they played? I think they lost every game.
They lost the most in modern MLB history. They are all alone with 121 losses.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy in this era. Nonetheless, I guess I'll ask B-Live, is there a series you're looking forward to? Again, we don't know the outcome of the National League, the full picture of that just yet. Is there a team that you're predicting you say, yeah, I feel good about calling them to go all the way? Is either of the scenarios jumping out at you?
Well, I'm going to talk about what we already know when it comes to the AL, because like I said, we still don't know what the NL is going to produce. Here's what and I'll get to the NL in just a moment. The AL, I'm curious because there was a good portion of this season where we wrote off the Houston Astros. We wrote them off. We didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, let alone win the division. The Rangers fell completely off from winning the World Series, and not even close. They weren't even over 500.
I predicted that,
but I did not. So hats off to you, my friend.
I don't remember all my predictions, but I do remember saying that the Rangers were going to miss the postseason because I remember raised your eyebrows when I said that.
Well, I'll say we've got a very interesting matchup between the Astros as the 3 seed and the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers turned it on. They could easily be one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. They did what needed to be done to make it into the postseason. I wonder, does that momentum carry on into this 3-game series? Now, these 3-game series are played all at the host stadium. So all 3 games will be played in Houston as opposed to 2 home, 1 away, et cetera, et cetera. They want to make this happen real quick. I'm curious if the Detroit Tigers can knock off the Astros, or do the Astros just continue to do what they've been doing for the past X amount of years, banging them trash cans, but making it to I think for the past 4 or 5 seasons they've made it to at least the division round or the championship series.
I believe so. It seems like they've been slinking in ever since, what was it, 2017, something like that.
That sounds right. That's what I was going with.
Yeah, they definitely are, through the season, and they've had losses through the years. They've lost some of the guys that were the stand-up Springer and Correa, some of the guys that stood out early in this run for them, but they seem to still manage to be a factor, and a lot of that has to do with pitching, and that's what it comes down to in the postseason. the Astros pitchers seem to always play well this time of year, and maybe Detroit's going to be a little bit more inexperienced in that aspect. No, you got the Orioles in the postseason for the second year, so they aren't the underdog, under the radar team this year. They won, I think, 91 games. Just the Yankees, I think, won all. They didn't win quite 100, but the Yankees were pretty much out in front to stay from early in the season.
Yeah, the Yankees won 94. No team won 100.
Nobody won 100 this year. Yeah,
nobody won 100.
I don't think any pitcher won 20 games this year either. And
that, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, because I did see a graphic where they're talking about the pitching triple crown. I think both top pitchers had 18.
18. That sounds right. And I saw that Ohtani missed out on the triple crown, losing to Luis Arias, whose average was 313, and that was like the lowest since like Tony Gwynn in the 90s. So there's some peculiar things going on in Major League Baseball this year. But getting back to the postseason here, you know, even as a guy who follows the Yankees probably more than anybody else in the American League, their starting pitching was good this year, but I don't know that it's overwhelmingly good. Where they're so obviously the favorite, because a lot of times these big time hitters, they face the best pitching available in the postseason and get shut down. You know, the Royals have a really good starting pitching, and that's a team that was worst in their division last year. Lost over 100 games, I think, last year. Maybe not worse in the division, but it was a bad team last year, nonetheless, and have turned it around, much the way the Orioles did the previous year. So the Orioles and Royals, I think that's a really intriguing matchup to watch.
Yeah.
In the short wild card
young,
two very young teams. Yeah. And I watched a little bit of the Padres Dodgers series last week, and the Dodgers, as much as they're the big bad wolf, if they get head to head with the Padres in the second round, or even against the Phillies, these are teams that aren't going to be intimidated or afraid to go toe to toe with the Dodgers. The Dodgers they're just so talented throughout their entire lineup, and they also have good starting pitching. But I don't think the Phillies are going to be worried about that. The Phillies, they got a lot of hitters that have high averages, and Schwarber had a great monster year, I think, hitting 38 home runs or something like that, over 100 RBIs. There's a lot of veteran experience and postseason experience with that Phillies team. And the Padres, man, wouldn't they love the opportunity to knock off Big Brother? They would love I'm sure, to get into that divisional round against the Dodgers, and nothing would please them more than to knock them off. It was interesting the way the Padres even got into the postseason, playing the Dodgers in the first game of that series and finishing the game with a 1-run lead on a triple play, which was something you don't see every day, where the Dodgers had a chance, actually, with runners on first and second, nobody out, to possibly steal that one, and the Padres finished in the triple play. So a lot to unpack for going into the baseball playoffs, and this is a fun time of year when anything can happen. We still don't know the matchups yet for the Padres or the Milwaukee Brewers, as again we're waiting the outcome of the Mets and Braves on Monday evening.
Well, there are a couple things that we do know. That the Padres have clinched the 4 seed. So what's going to happen? So the Padres are going to face either the Mets or the Braves. The Diamondbacks are solidified in the number 6 seed if they make it in. If the Braves win game 2, the Braves get the 5 seed, the Mets get the 6 seed, because the Braves have the tiebreaker over the Mets. If the Mets sweep, the Mets get the 5 seed and the Diamondbacks get the 6 seed. So what's going to happen is that either the Mets of New York or the Braves of Atlanta, Georgia, have to travel all the way across the country tomorrow to face the Padres in a 3-game set. Advantage Padres. It's like,
well, yeah, and they also have a chance. They've had a chance to rest and get their starters in order as well. So, yeah, but bring it on, baby. Bring it on. I love postseason baseball.
And it's sitting pretty. October 1st. We're in October. So, come on, Braves.
Is it just me, or did September fly by like it always does?
It absolutely did.
I feel like September, I feel like August always lasts like 90 days. And then you just can't wait for football season start and these baseball races to matter. And then you get to September and it's like an hour later, it's October 1st. And here we are.
Oh man, oh man. I love this time of year with all the sports. We already got some preseason hockey. We're talking postseason baseball, which is exactly what it is. And we're on the edge of our seats.
And the Buccos are out,
But
right? The Buccos are out of it.
yep, yes, they are.
Okay.
They didn't make it last place in the NL Central. But I mean,
Same exact record as last year.
I
Same record.
honestly I thought they would have some promise coming into this year, man.
They were a game and a half out of the wild card at the trade deadline, and then made some trades that everybody in Pittsburgh was excited for, and then lost 10 in a row right as soon as they did that. And that was curtains for the poor old Buccos. So the Bucco fan long suffering tradition continues.
Well, at least y'all got them 204 mile per hour pitching guys over there. Maybe you can build off of that. I don't know. How many more years you think Aroldis Chapman got?
I mean, he can still pitch a few more years, I think. I mean, he pitched well enough this year that I think he pitched himself out of Pittsburgh as far as they gave him, I think it was $12 million or $10 million. It was just a single year contract, but he pitched well enough this year that somebody's going to take him next year. He probably knocked his price tag up a little bit, I would say. And I mean, he's still throwing gas. He's still throwing over 100 miles an hour. Still, there's some days he looks awful, but other days he looks unhittable. So, you know, you just got to, you know what you're getting with Aroldis Chapman. He's not going to go out and blow you away every single night anymore. But I mean, I bet you there's some of these teams in the postseason right now wish they had that lefty out of the pen to bring in. Or is he a lefty? But whatever he is. Whatever he is. He's a righty, but he's throwing gas.
Right.
He's throwing gas.
Man. Football.
Let's talk about football.
Oh, professional football at its finest. We had a doozy on Thursday. I gotta ask you this. Let's just start right there. I want to start right there. We have our passion and we're fans. How do you feel about a 5-point victory over the New York Football Giants?
Aroldis Chapman is lefty. I was right. No, not a good 5-point victory of the Giants. That was a losable game. It came down to an interception to save the day for the Cowboys by a rookie cornerback who was not on the roster at the beginning of the year. He was on the practice squad. He was not on the active roster. Daniel Jones is the quarterback. That's why the Cowboys won that game. Because if they faced somebody good, they would have lost. This is not a good team. The Cowboys are not a good team. They're not. This is going to be. I'm going to tell you. This is going to be a non-playoff season for the Cowboys, and it's sickening. They're not going to make a play. I do not, and it's sickening that your general manager / owner had a chance all off season to make a deal to get some free agents. And then I watched Derrick Henry, who wanted to go to Dallas, run for 85-yard touchdown on Sunday night. And Jerry Jones said they couldn't afford him. What? Yeah,
they couldn't afford him. Yeah.
The most valuable franchise in all of sports. He said he wasn't affordable. And I know it's salary cap thing, but had he played his cards right and maneuvered the money around, Derrick Henry could have been a Cowboy. And it's not always a one player makes a difference, but sometimes one player makes a difference, and the Cowboys cannot run the ball. They can't run the ball. They got Dalvin Cook on the practice squad. Dalvin Cook. Now, you mean to tell me this guy 2 seasons ago ran for 1,100 yards? You mean to tell me he's worse than Zeke right now? Zeke runs for a yard and then looks for somewhere to go down. He has no speed. He has no elusiveness. He can block. He always was a good blocker. But you mean let's try Dalvin Cook. Just try it. If it doesn't work, it's better than that. And the Smurf, Deuce Vaughn, he got a Smurf in the backfield. Dak can't see this guy if he's going to try to throw the ball to him. And he can't block a linebacker. I mean, what good's Deuce doing? Get Deuce out of there. Get Zeke out of there and give me Dalvin Cook. Try something different.
Don't y'all have Rico Dowdle too?
Yeah, but they're not giving him the ball that much. And look, he's a nice player, but he's not like you're a lead back. He's more of a number 2 or a 3
Right.
guy. He's a change of pace back, and he's fine, but he's not. I mean, he's not as good as Tony Pollard, and he's another guy that they let walk last year. I mean, funny, Pollard went to Tennessee to take Derrick Henry's place, and Derrick Henry went to the Ravens, and the Cowboys have Zeke. That was the big offseason plan. When they went all in, they didn't draft a running back and they didn't sign a free agent. They did Zeke, who was so good that they let him leave 2 years ago because he couldn't pick up more than 2 yards a carry. Why did you pick this game to start off? Let's talk about somebody that's not going to. Let's talk about somebody's not going to give me let's talk about somebody's not going to give me an aneurysm. Let's.
I knew I was going to get this reaction. That's why I did it.
Oh, my goodness.
Thursday, let's talk about it. Oh, man. So the topic of discussion more than anything is, what have we learned after 4 weeks of the NFL? Of course, we still have 2 games going on tonight that we are unaware of the end result. But what have we learned? And I'm gonna start off real quick because I'm gonna start this off in a bingo card situation. My 2024 NFL bingo card did not have the Minnesota Vikings being 4-0. And not only just 4-0, I'm talking about wins over the 49ers. I'm talking who else are they wins over Green Bay.
Texans?
Yeah. Three teams that we definitely had in our playoffs. We picked Minnesota to be dead last. My 2024 bingo card, NFL bingo card, did not have the Minnesota Vikings being 4-0. What's on your 2024 bingo card? What have you learned?
Well, I definitely didn't have Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Carr and Justin Fields as the guys that were help leading their teams to big wins. I didn't have that. So yeah, those are surprising. I've been confused this year as I can ever remember. Like usually after 4 games, I'm starting to get a feel of it, and I'm not so much getting a feel of it. I'm convinced that the Steelers aren't that good. I'm convinced.
Right.
And they're 3-1 and lost the game on Sunday that at Indianapolis. That was a tough game that they could have won. And Joe Flacco shows up. The old nemesis from the Baltimore Ravens is now on his, I think he's played for every team now except the Cowboys. I can envision Flacco in every. I didn't even know he was on that team, honestly. Anthony Richardson got hurt, and Flacco came in. I was like, Flacco? I didn't even know.
How?
He's in Cleveland last I saw him playing well, and he came in and converted some big plays for the Colts.
I still thought he was on Cleveland. I really, honest to God, thought he was still on Cleveland.
I had no idea. I had no idea where Flacco was, but we found him, and so I mean, I'm convinced that the Steelers aren't that good, and that the Ravens and the Bengals still are the teams to beat there. The Bengals sitting at 1-3, and they always get off to a slow start. So maybe they got to win over Carolina, which is, not the biggest thing you're going to brag about, but you got to start somewhere, I guess. But so that division puzzles me. The Bills, a lot of people are starting to write them off, and they look pretty good. They had the tough game Sunday night, but they're 3-1.
Now I got a question about that. I want to ask you that. Was that more about the Ravens finding their way and showing teams who they really are? Or was that more of Buffalo's lack of anything?
I think Buffalo had a bad night. I think Buffalo had a bad night. And the Ravens, that's obviously their best game. Because they had the Cowboys down and let them back into the game in the fourth quarter. And in this instance, they didn't. They put together their best game of the season. They almost had Kansas City beat in the first week of the season. So it's not like Baltimore's been playing terrible. They just haven't put together their best game, and now they have. And again, we've beat this drum multiple times, but again, early season, sometimes not playing in starters in preseason, it takes a little bit of time to, I think, to get your footing, and maybe the teams that are really good are starting to establish that. I'm impressed. I will say what I've learned after 4 weeks is that Jaden Daniels could be for real. He looks good as the early rookie of the year contender. He looked good. He had that coming out party last Monday night, and then had another really nice game against Arizona. So Dan Quinn for the win in Washington, and they are in first place in the NFC East after 4 weeks.
Something else that I absolutely did not have on my bingo card. Now, I had Jaden Daniels winning Rookie of the Year. I did not have the Washington Redskins not only being atop of the division, but almost soundly, because the Eagles are not playing well. The Cowboys are not playing well, and the Giants are just the Giants. This could this Washington Redskins team could not only win the division, but win it convincingly. I'm 11, 12, 13 wins. You think that could be possible?
I don't want to go that far yet.
Not yet. Not yet. I understand that.
I don't want to get that far ahead of it. But let's just say that you got to like where they are right now after 4 games. It's a bet. If you're a Washington fan, you're feeling better now than you have in years of what you're looking at right now.
Oh man, years. I'm thinking decades, bro.
Yeah,
it's been a good minute for a Redskins no name football team commander Piglet fan base. So it's been a long time. Joey Buckets, man, how are you feeling right now? But yeah, I know he has to be excited. And, you know, I like to play towards our fan base here, the Sports Bros Podcast. Yes, sir. Woo. What about it? I'm just going to throw a little wild card out there. The NFC West. What do we make of that right
now? I'm puzzled by that one because, you know, I was big on the Rams coming in, and they're sitting at 1-3. They look terrible. They are at minus 40 point differential right now, and they're banged up. Banged up.
Yeah. He has somebody to throw the ball to.
Yeah, his targets are not there, and Kyron Williams seems to be doing pretty well out of the backfield. He's not. It's not really the running game. It's just like you said, his targets are missing. The good news for them is that the 49ers, who I still think is the best team in the division, have also lost twice already. They're 2-2, and they beat them. So that's the upside if you're the Rams. If you can just kind of hang in there. I don't know who they play next week, but steal a win somewhere and just try to stay afloat till you get all your targets back. It's a long season. We get 17 games to play, and only 4 of them are in the books. I still think the 49ers are going to get right. They also have had a little bit of injury issue. I can't buy Seattle. I just can't. I can't do it. And I told you, I thought the Cardinals were going to be bad. I haven't bought into the Cardinals. They've now lost 3 in a row. And I can't buy Seattle. Why is that? Why can I not buy in Seattle?
Here's the thing. We as fans, we tend to gravitate toward the big names, especially at the quarterback position. It's real easy for us to say that, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to do great things. It's easy to say that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are going to do big things, even though they're 2-2. It's easy to say, even though the Bengals are 1-3, it's easy to say that, they start early. They start off bad early in the season, but they have Joe Burrow. It's really tough for us to come out and say that Geno Smith is going to lead a team to a division crown and to still be undefeated after 4 games. It's just tough to do.
I think you've answered it.
it's tough.
It's the Geno factor. It's the Geno factor.
And
he got off hot last year too, if you remember. He got off hot last year. Yeah.
because the thing about it is Geno does things that a lot of quarterbacks nowadays they don't do. He doesn't take those big risks. He has it set in his mind. He has one job to do: is to maintain games. Don't make those big mistakes that take you out of a game. He's like, let me do what I know how to do. And the thing about it is Seattle, they got weapons. Like,
Yeah.
DK Metcalf, Smith and Jigba, I think is going to be up there when it comes to the upper tier echelon of wide receivers. Who's there? Who's
Lockett? They still have Lockett?
Yeah, they have Tyler Lockett, but also they have Kenneth Williams III. I think Zach Charbonnet is they're also RB2. They got weapons on that team. So it's not like it's not feasible, but it's just Geno Smith. He's just like,
yeah.
Like it's one of those things, even in your instance, Dak Prescott hasn't done anything in the postseason. But Dak Prescott, that's a name that you still can sort of believe in, unless you're an actual Cowboys fan. So it's one of those things where that's the holdup when it comes to Seattle. That's the holdup right now with the 4-0 Minnesota Vikings, because it's Sam Darnold. It's the holdup right now with the 3-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because it's only Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield was, when he first came out, was this big time star. And he led the Browns to their first playoff, and he was the darling of Cleveland until the bottom fell out, and then Baker Mayfield wasn't Baker Mayfield, but now he's with Tampa.
Yeah, and he's
Baker
playing
Mayfield
well, man.
again.
He's playing well.
Like, so
let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Which contract do all roads lead to being worse? The one in Cleveland or the one in Jacksonville? Because these Clemson quarterbacks are stinking up the NFL right now. Which contract is worse? Deshaun Watson getting paid $1 billion guaranteed, or Trevor Lawrence almost $1 billion guaranteed? And Trevor Lawrence, I think he had, did I see that right? He hasn't won a game since last November. Something like that. They're 0-4. The Jaguars are 0-4.
The Jaguars have lost 9 straight.
9 straight games. They are negative 49 this year in the point differential. They have scored 60 points.
I don't like you right now, but damn, that's a good question for me.
And I was of the opinion this past week that Deshaun Watson was going to start to find his groove a little bit with Cleveland playing.
This is playing
Vegas,
answer.
and that went bad again.
This is an easy answer. It's Deshaun Watson, because at least Trevor Lawrence got Jacksonville to the playoffs one time. At least he did that. Deshaun Watson has done absolutely, and I mean absolutely nothing for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, not a thing. Has not completed a full season yet. And just it is,
and the bulk of his contract is still coming.
Yeah.
His first year, he was only on the books for like $1 million just because he didn't want to. The team didn't want him to lose all of his money on the suspension, so they backloaded that contract instead of front loading it.
5 years, $230 million, and only 1 year was paid out on year one. So it's essentially 4 years, $229 million, which is just $11 million short of Dak's $60 million.
Yeah.
So in essence, Deshaun Watson is the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL. In essence.
Yeah.
That's easy, but it's just for the Jaguars to be 0-4, to have the talent that they do have. Trevor Lawrence, that you got a real hefty price tag. We gonna need you to do better. We are glad to have the originator, the head of creative, Eddy Kool, joining us after a trip down the road. And just wanted to let you know real quick, just fill you in. Scottie D hit me up with one of them burning questions, one of them hot ones we were talking about what we had learned about, or what have we learned about the NFL after 4 weeks. And he asked me about two quarterbacks that are near and dear to my heart and who has the worst contract right now.
I can answer that. I can answer that. It's right down the road here in Berea. I can answer that for you right now. Man, let me tell you. First of all, hey everybody, I'm back. I had to go save the world real quick. The best thing about saving the world is it shows I got a good heart. The worst thing about saving the world is it don't pay enough money. I swear it don't. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But as I was saying, I had a chance. This is my second consecutive Sunday where I've taken the afternoon off and I was able to watch some games. So I said, okay, let me turn into this Raiders and Browns game. What in the hell is going on? I don't understand it. If you're looking at worst of the two contracts, Trevor Lawrence, he just got his. It's year number 3. We're now on Deshaun Watson. He don't look the same. Something's off. I like you have like you mean tell me you can't utilize Jerry Jeudy, you can't utilize Amari Cooper's been doing what he's supposed to do. I understand that the Browns right now they have injury issues. Half their starting offensive line it's depleted. We're still waiting for Nick Chubb to come back, so the running game has been next to nothing. And his practice window just opened up. By the way, I just got a notification, and so would it be fair to put it all on Deshaun Watson? I don't want to say no, but when you got $250 million guaranteed, you got to do something. Just like B-Live said about Trevor Lawrence, you got to do something. You have something's got to be done.
Yeah, it's
so worst of the two contracts, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Worst of the two contracts, Deshaun Watson.
Because Scottie D made a great point, and while I got you here, is that Deshaun Watson, his first year out of that 5-year fully guaranteed contract was only for $1 million. So the rest of his contract was 4 years, $229 million, all of it guaranteed, which is only $11 million short of Dak Prescott's contract. So Deshaun Watson is getting paid a lot of money to be this bad. So yeah, but at least we got quarterbacks in the league, though.
Yeah.
But Eddy Kool, I need you to do me the big favor.
What's up, man?
Guy, did you have anything else to say on this topic, or?
No, I'm ready to talk a little college football here.
Of course you are. So Eddy Kool, can you do me a favor? I tried to insert myself into your position for the first 40 minutes of this podcast, and it's tough. I like being on the sideline. I like being a co-host. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that up to you to bring me back in to the fold. Oh man!
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
for crying out loud,
aardvarks, Pop Warner football players, overzealous parents that's living vicariously through their children, hating ass coworkers, and all of the above.
It's the B-Live top 5. It's the B-Live top 5.
B-Live. Yeah. Top 5. Don't be jumping on my gimmick. What's wrong with you? You can do it with him, but you can't do it with me. B-Live top 5. 5.
Oh man.
What's the matter with you, Scottie D?
College football is 5 weeks in, and we've seen some of the craziest things happen, especially this past weekend. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it because we did have a top 5 matchup between the den number 2 Georgia Bulldogs and the den number 4 Alabama Crimson Tide. Let me go ahead and apologize ahead of time because I was hella disrespectful to the Alabama Crimson Tide because I did not have them in my top 5 at all. But I'm going to be disrespectful one more time because I don't think Texas should be punished for, not playing anybody. I mean, Mississippi State. I still think Texas is the number 1 team in the country. So my top 5 goes as follows. Number 5, I have Georgia. Georgia drops to number 5. But there's a reason why I couldn't drop Georgia out of my top 5. I wanted to, because that first half of that game was horrendous. It was a tale of two halves, Georgia, Alabama. Georgia, what happened? You came back with that desperation, but a top 5 team shouldn't be in desperation mode ever. You control the narrative, you control the game, and you weren't a top 5 team in the first half of that game. And then you got in desperation mode and started playing ball the way you should have. But there's a reason why you did not fall out of my top 5 is because there's nobody else to fulfill that spot. Because the teams that I thought were up on are on the rise, they ain't do too well either. I'm gonna get into that in just a second. Number 4, Tennessee, good old Rocky Top. Tennessee has shown no signs of slowing down. I think they were on a bye week this week. So, Nico Amaleva, he's that dude, that true freshman in Tennessee. He is that dude. Number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State, you still have not played anybody. I'm just giving you the benefit of the doubt right now because there's nothing on your resume yet. You've just been doing sort of what you're supposed to do. But I'm gonna need to see that Ohio State Oregon game in 2 weeks. I'm not impressed with Oregon at all, but they're at least a top 15 team. I'm gonna give you that. Number 2, and here's my shocker. Everybody else in the world says Alabama is number 1. Not this guy. Like I said earlier, Alabama's number 2 to me. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm not ready to punish Texas just yet for not having a top 5 matchup. I think Alabama showed the world that they are ready to contend and compete. But Alabama let Georgia get back into that game. That you supposed to put that game away. And Georgia actually came back from 28 points down to actually take the lead. And then right after they took the lead, Alabama took it right back. Can you believe that dude is 17 years old?
Crazy.
Was it Ryan Williams?
Yeah, playing like that, crazy.
17. He doesn't turn 18 until February. He was born February of 2007.
Oh, that was very recent.
Yeah.
That's crazy. For
That was
him
very
to play
recent.
that 17 years old doing what he did on that stage is absolutely incredible. Yo, that dude's going to be special. Man, oh man, Alabama got a gem with that. But that's my top 5. Texas, hey, keep doing what you do. Alabama, just don't let teams get back into games like that. And you might find your way on my number 1 list. But the real talk of the matter is the Be Live not top 5, because every week we find out that some teams are not what we have them to be. So once again, coming in at number 5 in my not top 5 is Georgia. Georgia, overrated.
You got them on both? That's
Yeah. The reason why I have them on it because they were down 28-0 as the number 2 team in the country. You can't go down 28-0 to nobody. Ever. As the number 2 team in the country, you should never be down 28 points. They should have never had to fight back the way they did. Georgia, also with that Kentucky 1-point victory, are you really the number? Yeah. I got to prove something to me. Georgia, number 5. Number 4, Miami.
they won.
Are you sure, though?
They won.
Was it a catch? Was it not a catch? It was a catch, and then it got overruled. And that's how Miami. And here's the thing. That ain't even the whole picture. I've never seen a team that lucky in my entire life. There was catches. They made a catch where the wide receiver was on his back looking the other direction, and the ball just happened to be right there. Fumbled the ball forward. Bad snap. everything that could have gone right and everything that could have gone right. I actually talked to a Miami fan that I know, and I literally said this: which one of you Miami fans has a horseshoe shoved up their ass? Because I've never seen a team be that lucky in my entire life. Go back and look at that Miami Virginia Tech game. They should have lost. Number 3. I live in the state. Rivalry game. North Carolina versus Duke. This is your chance, North Carolina, to redeem yourself after letting James Madison put 70 on you.
Still can't
You
believe
go up 20-0 against Duke, and you lose. I stopped watching because I thought it was going to be this is done. North Carolina beats Duke. They sort of redeemed themselves. Duke loses their first game. Now Duke is 5-0 and now has bragging rights over you for the foreseeable future. North Carolina, you just keep going down, 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 down. Number 2, Utah. What you're not going to do. When I predict for a team to win something and make it to the playoffs and have a first round bye, you don't make me look like a fool. You don't lose to an unranked team. Even though Arizona was ranked and fell out of the rankings, Utah, you were handpicked by yours truly to win the Big 12 and make it to the playoff. And then you lay an egg. You lay an egg. But you don't lay an egg as big as this one school that competes for an egg every single year. Ole Miss comes in at number 1.
Ooh.
Kentucky. The reason why Ole Miss is especially number 1 is because Kentucky is making these great, wonderful schools look garbage. And then somehow Kentucky loses to the Game Chickens 31-6. So I got to hear from Game Chickens that, they think they're the best thing since sliced bread because they beat Kentucky and Kentucky beat Ole Miss and almost beat Georgia. I don't want to hear that.
Just close your ears. You ain't got to hear it.
I got to hear it. I've been fighting with Kool fans all day long. You know why I've been fighting with Kool fans? And I'm going to say this in the camera.
And he should be fighting. I don't know why, but go ahead. This should be interesting.
Because South Carolina Gamecock fans chose the fact that the Clemson-Stanford game, which was decided to play on despite all the devastation that went on with Hurricane Helene, all in the upper state of, especially upper on the western part of North Carolina and the upstate South Carolina region. There's been a lot of devastation, a lot of things going on. But it was determined that the game could continue. It was determined that people could get there safely and return home safely. Over 80,000 fans attended. Yes, there's a lot of devastation, but don't dare try to bring in morality and that Clemson is a trash program because they decided to continue with the game and not cancel it. Don't bring up old references like 2018 and Hurricane Florence when South Carolina canceled the game, even though that was an active hurricane at the time. Sometimes people need an escape. And 80,000 people showed up. People got home safely. For those that are affected, our hearts and prayers go out to you, especially from us here at the Sports Bros podcast. Asheville, Boone, the upstate South Carolina, I know people are still without power. But when it comes to the certain things that can be controlled, it was deemed safe. And for Clemson, for Stanford, all of the above, they were able to play the game. People enjoyed it, and they were able to escape just a little bit of reality for the time being. I apologize for how long that took, but I had to go ahead and get that off my chest. Don't do that. Let rivalries just stay in the realm of sports and football. Don't try this whole morality thing. And now here comes Scottie D with his most ridiculous takes when it
Oh,
comes to college football.
Speaking of escape,
Ladies and
I'm gonna have
gentlemen,
to
the
get-
Scottie D top
I-
5.
I got to get out of here. I don't have time to. No, actually, I was planning this anyway.
He said he planned it. Oh, here it go. He planned it.
Georgia and Florida had, or Georgia and Alabama had such a good game on Saturday. I'm not even going to say anything bad about college football or mention blowouts this week, just because that was such a good game. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that game. So, I got Alabama at number 1. That's all I got.
The who?
I got Alabama number 1.
That's it.
That's all I got. Yeah. And Pitt
That's
number 2.
all
They
you
didn't.
got.
They didn't lose either. Yeah.
Said Pitt number 2. You knew it.
I'm like, you gotta come. I'm like, you gotta come to something. You ain't gonna just leave me hanging like that. I didn't grew accustomed to your silliness. That I needs to have it.
Well, I didn't. I was going to say more, but I didn't have time after you told me how your conversation went with Miami fans and Utah fans and Gamecock fans. So I kind of eliminated a little bit of my segment here. So that's all I got.
He noted. All right.
He made an adjustment. Be Live, thank you for the Be Live top 5. And the money man, Scottie D, thank you for your short Scottie D top 2. Scottie D says Alabama number 1 and Pittsburgh number 2 because they haven't lost a game yet. But yeah, that Alabama and Georgia game, wow, that boy 17. He can't pay taxes yet.
It was a pleasure to watch.
It was,
That
man.
is crazy to me, bro.
Yeah, and what's up? And real quick before we get out of here, man, did you see Devon Achane? He co-signed the running back from Boise State. I think the dude got like 845 yards and 13 touchdowns in only 5 games.
4 games.
4 games.
So yeah, it's only 4. Yeah. They don't have him front running for Heisman yet, but he's in the talks. I think he's in like the top 10 or whatnot.
Yeah.
The name escapes me, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Keep your eye on him. I have Boise State still picked as my group of 5 top ranked team, but
I got them number 3.
Ashton Genty.
Yes.
Yeah.
But hey, UNLV, I'm you know what? I'm gonna talk about UNLV just a little bit later. I'm gonna switch it up. Pepper Point.
Yeah.
Scottie D, I know you got to run. I actually got to run in a little bit myself. Let's just say, Scottie.
Button hit it.
Choices, Pepper. Yeah,
Button
hit something.
And with that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it. Choices of the Voices coming at you right here on the Sports Bros Podcast.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the Choices of the Voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and
ever so lovely Miss Button
for
introducing our favorite part of the show, the Choices of the Voices. I forgot you're back, Eddie.
see y'all done got too damn comfortable now. Y'all done got too free comfortable. No, but I appreciate y'all for real, like holding it down. I had a little emergency popped up, but all is well in the world. All is cool, fine and dandy. Everybody living, got all the teeth in their mouth, and everybody straight. With that being said, you know how we do it. We ask y'all a question, you give us the answer, and we talk about it right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. Scottie D, what's on tap for this week's Choices of the Voices?
I asked who you thought was the best safety you've ever seen play in the NFL, and a lot of good responses, Eddie. Cool.
Got some good responses, great responses. All right, Sean Connors, he says, I'd have to say Ronnie Lott. I did enjoy Steve Atwater as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Atwater, knock your head off your shoulders. Michael Oley, he said Ronnie Lott, and of course, the late, great Sean Taylor. Only if he wouldn't have left us when he did, all right?
Sean Taylor was, I think, only 3 years in.
Yeah.
When he died, I think he was only like 25 years old. He was, you know, I have a hard time ranking him as the greatest based on that, the fact that I didn't see him long enough, but he certainly was on track to be in that conversation for sure. He was a special player.
Yeah, good old Sean Taylor, man. It's a damn shame with jealousy and people. Anyways, that's no story for another day. Brad Thomas, he says Ronnie Lott and Ed Reed, the ball. All right.
Nice. Yep.
All right. And then we got Trey Dizzle. Oh my God, here we go. He says Brian Dawkins was a beast. I wish he was still playing so he could take out our quarterback. Damn it, I knew it. Damn it,
hold on. Did he just root for the Eagles?
Yeah.
To knock out Dak.
That's what it's
to knock out Dak.
just to knock out Dak.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw out there, y'all know where Brian Dawkins went to college at, right?
Sure did. Yep.
Damn right.
Yep. He went to Clemson.
Oh,
all right.
You already know what my answer is right there.
His name is D's Nuts. No, Tom Wynn said, just too many spanning several eras. You got the Larry Wilsons, the Paul Krauses, the old school NFL, and the Ed Reeds, Ronnie Lott years later. But in all actuality, he said he likes Ronnie Lott. All right. Our boy Joe Gaffigan, man, you know where he's going. Sean Taylor all day. How about them Redskins? LFG, LSF and go. The way they wiggity wax the Cardinals. You might have something going on in the nation's capital. Matty Ice Martin Tracy says Chuck Cecil. Well, I don't know if he was the best, but he was my favorite. Reminds me of John Lynch, who would be a better answer as far as best goes. Okay.
Yeah, Chuck Cecil was a dirty player. He was a hard hitter, but John Lynch was far superior as a player.
Was Chuck Cecil from the clothesline era? Because that's what it sounds like.
He did some head hunting. He was a headhunter.
Yeah, Chuck Cecil. Hey, you remember? I don't know if you guys remember the videos where they were like clothesline people, like, oh,
yeah,
that's what I'm like. That sounds like a clothesline era player there. All right, Sandy Heineman says I'm going with some guys. I'm going with some guy whose name is Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, head and shoulders.
Certainly has a case. Polamalu was a beast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Head and shoulders and got a shampoo deal. Ain't that something? Yeah. Brian Lavelle, he says Troy, as in Troy Polamalu. Or it could have been Troy Vincent, but it's Troy Polamalu. All right.
Yeah, he's a Steeler guy.
Yep. Ken Watson says Lott, Reed, Polamalu, and Dawkins were all outstanding safeties. I would take any of the four. All right. So he's going to pick the all four of them. Can't be mad at him that one. Don Shoop. Oh, we got some new names here. Don Shoop, he says Bob Sanders, Colonel Sanders, only if he didn't get hurt.
Oh, he was really good.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
5'9".
Yeah, he was 5'9", knocking heads off. Injuries, boy. Yep. Lonnie Doxey says Gary Fensick and Doug Plank.
I think both Bears. I think Plank was a Bear too. I remember Fensick. Yeah.
Yep, sounds right. Kirk Jennings says Sean Taylor. The best name in the game. JoJo Comfort says, for my money, it's a toss-up between Donnie, the human torpedo shell, and Kenny Easley. It's a shame that Kenny Easley had his career cut short by kidney disease. He was an absolute terror. That name does sound familiar, though.
Played for the Seahawks in the 80s. He was outstanding.
Okay. Right, we got Josh Becker. He said, I loved watching John Lynch back in the day. Was he the best? Probably not, but he was hell of a lot of fun to watch. He's the reason I played safety when I was young and cool. All right.
Okay. Josh Baker was never cool. Okay, cool.
Wow.
I said what I said.
All right. Our friend to the show, JR Speaks, he says Brian Dawkins or Ed Reed. Okay, either one of the two.
And I'm gonna say this with smooth JR. The only reason why I didn't like Brian Dawkins as much as I wanted to was because I hate the Eagles. I really do. But Brian Dawkins was that.
He's nice,
dude. He was a Wolverine. That's what they called him, the Wolverine. Bad dude, man. Brian Early, he says, happy to see this didn't turn into a Troy ass kiss fest. He said Ed Reed and Brian Dawkins. Not too many people kiss Troy's booty, but anyways. Jeffrey Lewis says, after doing some research of opinion, it may be that 2000 and 2009 decade had the best safeties of all time. I remember liking Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed the most. But following Sharper, Lynch, and Dawkins was just as fun. Any of these guys would be a blessing to employ if I had a team. One of them guys went, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. He said, as far as today, I'd have to put into some negotiations and look forward to seeing them all in action. All right. Stan Segley, he says, I got to go with Ronnie Lott. And AD series, he said he gave us the Four Horsemen, of course. Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, Troy Polamalu, and John Lynch. And with that being said, thank you to everybody for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. We had 3 pages. I can't remember the last time we had a 3-pager. And with that being said,
participation.
Good. And with that being said, Scottie D, who you got? Your favorite all-time safety.
It's hard not to say Ronnie Lott. The guy was tough and had his finger chopped off so he wouldn't miss a game. If you remember that story. And whenever I think of hard hitting safeties, my mind always goes to Steve Atwater just for the hit he laid on Christian Okoye. But I think I got to go overall with Ed Reed. He was just so good in that outstanding Ravens defense, and Ray Lewis was the main guy that took the attention, but Ed Reed was good in the passing game and run support, and I just thought he was always he was just a guy who was always around the ball. He was just always there. So I'm going to say Ed Reed just for the simple fact that I want to be a little bit different, and Ronnie Lott beat up on the Cowboys in the 80s. B-Live, who you got?
I already said Brian Dawkins. Too easy. Clemson. And I think what you said Wolverine. I think he was Weapon X.
Weapon X. Okay, I knew it was one of them X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolverine derived from Weapon X. So that's where the link is. So
okay.
But yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, you guys got quiet. Was that not the right nickname? Because I noticed y'all got real quiet when I said that.
I was thinking about it. Yeah, his nickname was Weapon X, and then I was like, let me search it real quick just to make sure. But yeah, Weapon X, and me and him have the same first name spelled the correct way. Yeah. So Brian Dawkins, yes sir.
All right, let's see, man. With that being said, I'm gonna have to say Steve Atwater. I know I saw him kind of like on the tail end of his career. I think he played. I think he did play on one of the Broncos Super Bowl winning teams, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think he did. But man, he was just when you say the name Steve Atwater, like you said, for him to hit Christian Okoye was damn near a 260-pound running back. You remember what we saw Derrick Henry do Sunday night? Yeah. Just imagine what Steve Atwater. Oh my God, yeah. He was a head. He was a head buster. He was a head buster. Actually, I'm gonna go with Scottie D. Ed Reed. Ed Reed was a quintessential safety. If you look at skill, ability to track the ball, ability to play defense, ability to play center field out there in that big field by yourself, I would have to go with Edward Reed, who now looks like Frederick Douglass. I'm joking. But yeah, man, the Hall of Famer. He's Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the Hall.
Yeah.
The Hall of Famer Ed Reed, man. I have got to go with him. Scottie D, before you biggity bounce out of here, what's on tickety tap for next wickety week?
Well, we're gonna just go simple here. Not a lot of thought going into this one, but it's topical. We're gonna ask you who is going to win the World Series, and we will all talk about that next week.
Who is going to win the World Series? Hey, fellas, it's the first of the month. It's October. Fall baseball. You know what time it is. B-Live, I know, man. I know. I stepped away for a little bit, but hey, I know what's going on.
As it sits right now, the Braves are up 1-0, bottom of the fourth.
It's in the bag. Game. It's in the bag.
We were up 3-0 last game. Oh boy. Yes.
All right.
Scottie D, you running out on us?
He taking off.
I'm gonna pass the baton over to Eddy Kool to finish it up.
All right. Thank you, Scottie D. We appreciate you, and we see you on the next go round, my friend. But as for the rest of y'all, coming up next, B-Live, get to grabbing that pepper grinder. We got a round of pepper coming at you right here. Stick stay. Don't you dare go away. More right here. Sports Bros Podcast.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, man, y'all heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style. Kind of, sort of, not really. Here to engage, enlighten, and educate, and entertain. 4 E's in no particular order. With that being said, I'll go first. B-Live. Today was the first baseball World Series game back in 1903, all right? The first baseball World Series game ever played between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Boston Americans, 7-3 at Huntington Avenue. Jimmy Sebring hits his first home run. Deacon Philippe is the winning pitcher and the Cy Young Award winner, and he's the loser. That's a whole lot going on. So much going on. It became a tongue twister. But yeah, but 1903, the first ever baseball World Series game was played. Over to you, Be Live.
As this baseball season has concluded, except for, of course, a makeup doubleheader for the Braves and the Mets, everybody else has played 162 games. So this past week, the Oakland Athletics and the ownership of the Oakland A's said a farewell to the fans. They played the last games in Oakland. The next 3 years will be in Sacramento as they're building a stadium in Las Vegas. The owner of the Oakland Athletics, not a Las Vegas, whoever they want to be, sent out a letter via social media, basically stating like, "Hey, I know it's been rough and everything. I want to thank you for all of the support and blah blah blah, and some more BS here." And it was like, "I wish I could individually hug each and every one of y'all." That's a lie. You know why? Because throughout the season, because there was so much vitriol behind the A's moving, selling the team, et cetera, that the Oakland A's turned off the replies on all of their social media sites. They didn't want to hear nothing from the fans. So you saying that you want to individually thank and hug and do all this stuff with the fans, you're a bold-faced lie. You need to do better. Eddy Kool, the ball.
How do you tell somebody to kiss your behind without telling somebody to kiss your behind?
Now your factuals.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Also, on this day in history, back in 1932, Babe Ruth called his shot. All right. So he sleds. So he sleds by the Cubs dugout, points to center field before homering into Wrigley Field bleachers in the fifth inning of Game 3 of the World Series, and New York Yankees win 7-5. Called his shot. You couldn't do nothing about it. It's kind of like Ricky Henderson saying, "I'm gonna steal second base. Try me if you want to." They tried Babe Ruth, and guess what? He took it out the park, and they won. Over to you, Be Live.
Well, there's not really much of a pepper point because everybody's been talking about it, but I got to talk about just a little bit more. And I mentioned earlier in the program, the University of, why is this all Las Vegas based, by the way? University of Nevada, Las Vegas, better known as UNLV, the Rebels, had a little situation when it came to NIL and their former, and I say former quarterback, I think Matthew Sluka.
Yeah.
He said that an assistant coach on the team promised them $100,000 in NIL deal money if he signed with the UNLV Rebels. Well, 4 games into the season, he's like, "I ain't got no money yet. And guess what? I'm going to quit the team." And with the transfer rules and everything like that, eligibility, if you play less than 4 games or you can play up to 4 games and not lose a year in eligibility. So he said, "Oh, my 4 games are up. I'm not playing for UNLV anymore." You know what UNLV said? Because they were undefeated. UNLV said, "You know what? Don't need you." They faced Fresno State and beat them like a redheaded stepchild. Fresno State is not a slouch. Their new quarterback came in, dual threat, almost 200 yards, almost 200 yards passing, almost 200 yards rushing. I think it was like 52-17. I don't even have the score. It was
they beat the brakes off of
them. You're not going to be missed, bro. Matthew Suka, whatever. You're going to be sitting at home for the rest of the season watching UNLV possibly make a statement and make it to the college football playoff as a group of 5 team. Eddy Kool, the ball.
In the words of primetime coach Prime Deion Sanders, it's his agent fault that he let this mess get away with it. The agent knows better than that. The agent knows better than that. All right, Be Live, here we go. On this day in history, back in 2017, just take a while, guess what happened?
Oh boy, what happened?
All right, former NFL star O.J. Simpson is released from Nevada's Lovelock prison less than 9 years of detention of his 33-year sentence for armed robbery and kidnapping. You remember that time OJ tried to get his own stuff, and you remember how that turned out?
Yeah, that's a tragedy in a situation.
Yeah, R.I.P. to the Juice Man. R.I.P. to the Juice Man. I don't know if you mentioned earlier, Be Live, but R.I.P. to Dikembe Mutombo. Lord have mercy, that came out of nowhere. And when I say, if you know me, you know how September is to me, and it's kind of like, "Ooh, Eddie, get it together." But in the words of Dikembe Mutombo, I won't stay mad too long. And if anybody try to come shoot at my house, no, not today. Not today. All right, B-Live. You have no paper pointers. That it.
Oh, I got a third and final. You know how I
Third
like
and
to deal
final.
with the
Get us
third
out
and
of here.
final.
Yep.
Ridiculousness.
That's it.
Welcome to being an adult. Welcome to being grown. As we've spoke about specifically with Shohei Ohtani, or as they say over the pond, Ohtani Shohei.
Yes, sir.
50-50 club, man by himself. Now, when he hit that 50th home run, you know, you got fans in the stands, everybody's clamoring and trying to grab and do things, whatnot. Well, somebody didn't have enough strength to keep hold of the ball, and so therefore they're trying to auction the ball off, and it's going, somebody could buy it for almost $5 million. Well, there's a lawsuit by Max Mattis, 18 years old. He said he's the rightful owner, and somebody took the ball from him in the stands, and so therefore that ball is rightfully his, and nobody else can auction it off. Bro, it's a grown man world. You better keep. You can't. If you came down with it and you had it, you should have walked out with it. It sounds like he had it, and somebody. Let me go ahead and strong arm that off of you. But it's a new world. It's 2024 where the weak survive. I don't know, but lawsuit, bro. Come on, man. Everything's a lawsuit. That's why everything's so expensive. Because lawyers gonna get paid regardless. Lawyers are the bane of our existence.
Yep.
That's why everything's so high. That's especially with healthcare and everything. Because everybody's got to protect themselves. So everybody's got some type of insurance just to protect themselves. But yeah. Max Mattis, you better start hitting the weight room at 18 years old. Don't get strong arm no more.
And Max, you
It's
might
my
not
bite.
Yeah, my bite.
It's my ball, punk.
And Max, you might not have a case because possession is 9/10 of the law.
Of the law. Yes, sir.
Like in NFL, if you didn't come down with it and on 2 feet or bobble it to have full control, it ain't yours, player. It ain't yours, player. And then in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can do something nice for someone else, they're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Whatever you can do, please be a blessing and not a burden. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. And hopefully I'll be back for the full episode next week. Be live, get us the hell up out of here.
Yes, sir.
Y'all take care. One love to Dikembe Mutombo.
Hey, it's Eddie Kool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening, and as always, continue to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Just click the link in the description box and keep up with the Sports Bros Podcast. And once again, thanks for listening.